Welcome to Courtroom Insider. I'm Nate Eaton. Thank you for watching. Really excited about tonight's program because we have three people that I really admire here in our studio. We have Candice Cooley. She's the mother of Dylan Rounds, and we have Nichole and Jim Schidt, parents of Gabby Petito. They are all here in town to work with law enforcement and actually hold a community event that's being held tonight that's open to the public to come. And what will you guys be speaking about? What's going to be happening tonight?
So I'm putting that on Jim and Nichole. This is all them.
Yeah.
But the main thing is we all have our public safety roles and what we do in our organizations, and I'm a little more on the back end. After the person's missing, get the data, get the canines. These guys do a lot more on the front end to try to prevent it, and so I thought we should really bring this together and get some more of the prevention out there on that end and what they work towards, and so that's what we decided, so yeah.
Yeah, Candice invited us here and she wanted us to speak to the community about domestic violence and really go heavy on that because there's a big problem all over our country, and Idaho has a problem, Idaho Falls has a problem, and people don't want to talk about it. It's silent, so we've come here to kind of open up that conversation, and hopefully people have questions about it and find out how they can help be part of the change to prevent domestic violence and homicides.
I think it's really cool how you guys have you formed this friendship over this tragedy. How did it come about that you all got connected?
The first year you interviewed us
at CrimeCon.
Yeah, that's when we all met, and they had just, it was a year, that interview that you guys had gotten Gabby back, right?
Yeah.
And then we were still in the middle of the craziness of Dylan's case, so that's when we first united and kind of went from there.
2023.
2023.
Yeah.
So
2022 was
Two, yeah.
2022.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
22.
Okay.
Yeah.
We always say it's a group that you don't want to be a part of. You never think that you're going to lose a child, especially the violence, and you never want to be a part of this group. But once you're in it, there's a lot of people that are very supportive, and so we formed a lot of these friendships with a lot of families that have experienced similar things, and we've all kind of come together and we work with each other with the different foundation work that we're doing and trying to prevent these tragedies, and sometimes just being that ear to listen, or to vent, because we still, just because time goes by, it doesn't mean that the grief goes away. So, just kind of be there for each other and support.
Yeah, it's a club you don't want to be a part of, but unfortunately we're here, and we've kind of locked arms with other families who are doing something about the tragedies that are happening in this world. We have to try to make changes. So yeah.
Well, and unfortunately, like I always say, don't be coming us to know us.
Yeah,
Like
that.
you can participate in public safety, domestic violence. That you can participate in all this. You don't have to be us. But until the community steps up and everybody starts paying attention, seeing what's going on around them, we can't do this alone.
Mm-hmm. I've interviewed people over the years that have gone through tragedies that once it's goes to the courts, they don't want to talk about it and deal with it again, which is understandable for some people. They want to, live a quiet life and not really talk about it. Others, like yourselves, really kind of find purpose in it or meaning. Not saying the other people don't find purpose in it, but
right.
When did you decide? Do you remember when did you decide to create a foundation or to say we're going to talk about this as much as we can to help others? Was it a process? Was it one day you're like, let's do this?
When it comes to Dylan's case, it was just throughout the case.
Because you were vocal.
You know
from
how
the
it,
beginning.
how it was handled from the beginning. I had a fight on my hands, and I just thought, this is not how it should be. This is not how it should be. So for me, it was just instant. Like, nobody should have to fight this hard.
It was the same for us. I mean, right after we found her, we had the service for her. I felt this drive, this fire was lit inside me. I said, I cannot let this happen to somebody else. We have to do something. And, I called the other parents and said, let's start a foundation without any clue on how to. And they said, yeah, let's do it. So with a little bit of help from a couple friends, we got the foundation started. No idea what we were doing. And we learned so much since then. And now we've built programs. We're training first responders. I mean, it's going in such a great direction, and we do feel that lives are being changed and saved because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the common questions we get is like, what's your 5-year plan? What's your goal with the foundation? Where do you see yourself in the future? And we say honestly, put us out of business, and these senseless tragedies and domestic violence. Put us out of business. We'll find something else to do. But that's what we're working to do. We're working to prevent this from ever happening. And the day that hopefully that happens, I don't know if it's going to happen in our generation. That'll be like, we did it and we made a difference. So until then, we're going to keep fighting.
Jim, I think you have a unique background because you're a firefighter.
Yeah.
You work you're a law enforcement or first responder, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
How has that perspective with your background helped with what you've been doing?
Tremendous. It's been a tremendous help. And when we were trying to figure out the foundation and what our part was going to be in it, so we do work with missing persons and their family, and we do domestic violence. And in the beginning, I said, I'll probably stick with mostly missing person stuff. As a man, I shouldn't be talking about domestic violence. And I was told very early on by some experts in the domestic violence world, like, I couldn't be more wrong. We need more men to speak up. And even at that point, I didn't really understand where I would fit into this whole thing. And it wasn't until we were going through our civil cases down in Florida when I was kind of getting grilled by their attorney in my deposition about my experience and my training in the fire service and EMS. And I did it for 25 years, and I look back on it, and I had zero training in domestic violence, and yet I responded to these calls. And I was always a student of my career, so I was always learning. But when it came to that, like, I never gave it a second thought. But now sitting back and realizing, like, I had that opportunity. I was in that position where I could have made a difference in somebody's life. And I didn't know and I didn't understand it. And now here I am on the victim side going, wow, this is what happens when all the systems aren't working together and talking and doing what they're supposed to do. And so that really helped me put together a really robust program, starting right from the 911 dispatcher, because that's where it starts, and going through every touch point where a domestic violence survivor may interact with our first responders. And when you've done their job and you've worked those shifts and you've worked those holidays and gone on those tragic calls, it kind of gives you a little bit more, authenticity when you're in there, and really having that perspective now of doing the job and then being on the other side is really a unique perspective, and it gets a lot of people to listen. And that's what we're hoping for, is to just kind of change that and get everybody to come together as one.
Gabby was found just 2 hours from here, an hour and a half. Is it hard to come back here? Is it comforting? What are your thoughts coming back to Idaho, Wyoming?
We love Wyoming, Jackson. If I could live there, I would. Mm-hmm. It's beautiful. I always say that I couldn't have been a more beautiful place for her to have her last moments. And because we work with families that have some real. Look at Dylan. Just the tragic way that their life ended, and for her to just be in this beautiful place where she wanted to be, I just find some comfort in that. And I think it's beautiful out here. This is my first time in Idaho, actually, so I'm excited to be here. But
we're honored to have you here. I've told them every time I see them, like, we need to get you to Idaho, and Candice did all the work to get you here. So, Candice, have you been back out to Lucin area?
We were this summer, yeah.
What was that like?
It was great. His crops planted. So the guy who bought the farm, him and his 2 sons are farming it. So his pivot was running. Yeah, his dream's still being done, which I think is amazing, because this guy came in and he has Dylan's business plan. He has his development map, everything, and he is following all of it. So
were you able to talk with him and
we text all the time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we stay in contact. I tell him all the time, well, if you need parts, I'll rent them out.
Oh, that's great.
Because we can just jump over the mountain. It's a lot closer for us. Mm-hmm. But yeah, to see that, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm glad that in his honor, you can drive by and have a physical something to see, a crop coming up.
Well, and it's everything he built. It's the pivot he put in. It's the pump he took out there. It's still all his. So, yeah, that's been good.
It's so wonderful that somebody is honoring him, and it's not like somebody bought up the land and they're just building on it or something. They're honoring Dylan.
Yeah. Well, and he knew Dylan, so Dylan was going to buy a tractor from him.
Right.
So
Would you all, when parents come up to you and say, I'm worried my daughter or my son is in a situation, there's red flags, but I don't know what to do. Maybe there's bruises, or maybe it's verbal abuse, or something that is not necessarily physical, but emotional abuse. What do you say? I know every situation is probably different, but what do you say? What would you say to someone watching that says, I'm worried about my kid?
It's really tough. We get this question very often. You have to be just open with them and be sort of supportive. Do not badmouth their significant other. You don't want to push them away any further. As much as you might want to say something in a negative way, that's going to just push them away and push them closer to their abuser. If you think something's going on, you can, during a regular conversation, just say, hey, I just want to know how you're doing. You know, is everything okay? I noticed something. You can kind of verbalize something specific, but just do it in a way that's not aggressive and like not accusatory, and just making sure that they know that you're always a safe person. So when they do decide to open up, they will come to you. It's hard. It's really hard, especially for parents. They want to just save their kid, but yeah, we get that question all the time.
A lot of open-ended questions. You know, knowing when and how to ask them is really important, and just always being there. Don't give them like an ultimatum, like, hey, listen, you know, you're in this relationship. If you don't leave, you know, don't call me anymore. That's not what they need, because if they are in a domestic violence situation, that may just be emotional abuse or isolation or whatever they're trying to do, all the tactics that they do. By you portraying that behavior, it's very similar to what they're experiencing at home. And so trying to avoid that similar behavior is very important. So, you know, those open-ended questions, just letting them know that you're there, you're always here to listen, support, give them options like, you know, how was your day today? Oh, it was good. You guys had a good, what does that look like? Tell me what a good day looks like to you, you know, and kind of allow them to kind of control the conversation and say things, and then asking them, well, how does that make you feel? Or, you know, is there anything I can do to support you in this? And hopefully when they're ready, they'll know, you know, hey, we got, you know, it sounds like you're going through a lot there, and, you know, I love you and I support you. You know, there's some options. We can get you some help if you want. Do you want to hear about some of them? You know, kind of that way. And it's really hard. It's really difficult because it can take a long time.
I've had parents tell me that they even have watched Gabby's documentary with their teenage child, and all of a sudden the conversation opens up, and it's just a way for them to be able to speak to them about it instead of having to bring it up. It's right there on the screen. So there's just little tricks that you can do, just making sure that you're not defensive and you're not bashing them or their significant other.
Your brain will actually get rewired when you're experiencing psychological trauma or physical trauma in your life. So it actually rewires your brain. And so what you may think is a rational decision, like just leave, you know, that may not seem rational to them because of the state that their brain is in, because they've been so manipulated and so changed, and they're always in this hypervigilant state because of the situation they're in. The good news is like we can reprogram that back, but it takes time. But being patient with them and starting to give them some of their own power and decision-making ability back is kind of where it starts. So just understanding that there's a lot going on up here that person has been doing to control them.
Yeah.
And so being really patient it's hard, but it's really necessary.
Leaving is a very dangerous time.
You said leaving?
Leaving.
Yeah.
If you just decide, I'm just going to leave. We just had a young woman in the town right where, town next to us where Gabby grew up, and she broke up with her boyfriend, went over to his house to get his stuff, and he shot her, killed her at 18 years old.
He was 17.
So it's dangerous, and that's why we have to keep talking about it. We can't stay silent anymore. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, the first thing you said, Nichole, was don't badmouth them, because I think as a parent, I go in and be like,
Yes.
your boyfriend is a jerk.
POS.
Yes, you need to get out of there. I will help you. Let's do it. I think that's our natural response because we want to protect. But you're saying that can actually push them further into the relationship to
Yes.
stay.
I think in most cases it does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
yeah.
Because they're not going to come out and say, yeah, he is beating me, Mom,
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah.
But there's something even worse that goes on is when the parents don't see that side of the significant other and they like them.
Yeah.
How is the person that's being abused supposed to come and everybody sees this guy or girl in this light that they're this great
nice
person, and then in private they're being abused, and how are they going to tell anyone? Who's going to believe them? You know, so that's even the worst side of it. So when you can see it, it's actually a little bit easier, but when
Right.
you can't see it, it's harder.
Did you like Brian?
We all did. I mean, I can't speak for all the parents.
Yeah.
I thought they were, you know, good for each other. He was very quiet. My kids loved him. Joe's kids loved him. I mean, none of us really had any worries about it.
Yeah, especially as a dad, I think, you know, the guard's always up when anybody's around your kids, especially your daughters. And, you know, she had a boyfriend in high school that, you know, like by the second time I met him, I was like, I don't like this guy so much. Like, he seems very, like, possessive of her. And I was right, and she broke up with him, like, on her own. She kind of figured that out. So when it came to Brian, that's what really upsets me, is like, I had zero inclination that there was this whole other side of him, because he was so good at
Well,
deceiving.
psychopaths are very good at hiding who they are. And, yeah, now that we know the family dynamic, and, yeah, we could talk all day about that, but.
Right. Yeah, what do you want to say about that? Anything you want to say?
It's just, seeing it now, it's just unbelievable. I mean, that they portray themselves as these good people, and then look what they do. Look what happens, and then who's held accountable? Nobody in the end is held accountable, because he went out the coward's way, and the people who helped him, you know, there's really no laws there to fix that. Like, we don't know how to hold them accountable. It just sucks.
I think that's what one of the things that people that may have forgotten about the documentary did kind of show that he was having assistance from his parents. The other thing the documentary had in both of your cases is the body camera footage from the police. A lot was released in your case and in your case. What was it like reviewing that? I know, Candice, you and I chatted, I think the day that it came out.
Yeah, because
What was it like going back to see the video of James Brenner, the man who killed your son, you know, talking with police hours after the video of him cleaning the gun?
To me, it was a little bit of justification in what I've spoken out about what Box Elder, how they handled it, and what needs to be changed. Because in one of those videos, you see one of the deputies speaking with James Brenner, and I am behind him trying to get his attention. And James Brenner is trying to tell him what direction Dylan went. And you can hear me saying, no, I know my son, he wouldn't have done that. And I'm physically trying to get this deputy's attention to talk to me. And he's too busy talking to James Brenner. But yet never runs his name, never arrests him on the warrant. So for me, watching all the body cam footage, and Jeff and I will elaborate on that tomorrow when we come in. But even when they convicted him, he's, you know, when all that went down, and then they found those charges from Maryland, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'd already given him that. Jeff had given him that, and then they acted like they were heroes, getting extended to 3 to 30 from the 1 to 15. I'm like, whatever. But in another one of those body cam footages, the first day they arrest him on June 10th, he tells on himself. He says, oh man, is this that warrant from Maryland? I've been trying to clean that up. No, it was a warrant on Utah. They still did not go in and pull his criminal history. He told on himself. They still didn't do it. So for me, it was complete justification, saying, I told you I wasn't crazy. This is actually how we were treated. This actually went down. But when they first released, there was no Box Elder footage. It was all Elko. And I called them out on it, and then they started releasing it. Because it has everything on I said that went out on there is, I mean, there's a lot missing, but there's enough.
So you felt vindicated in having that out there.
Yeah.
And the body camera footage in Gabby's case, I think we'll always remember that Moab footage. Yeah. What was it like seeing that?
I'll never forget when it was released. I saw it with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
September 16th.
And
you remember the date?
Yeah. Yeah, and I watched the entire thing. I just sat at my table, the kitchen table, and watched it. And I was just shocked. As her mother, I wanted to jump through the screen. I had no idea that was what was going down that day. I spoke to her that day, the day it actually happened. She told me a completely different story. And knowing what really happened, I could not believe it. And now knowing what we know, we look back at that footage, and it's used for training and everything, of how many signs and red flags were there that they could have helped her in that moment, connected her to services. She was clearly a victim, but that's very typical. What you see.
The Vermont State Police Academy is now utilizing that body cam footage for training rookie officers, as well as doing another training for the veteran officers. There's agencies up in Canada that have been asked to utilize it. Colorado, down in Texas, they use that body cam footage to develop a supplement for officers while on scene on how to determine predominant aggressor. We use it extensively in a couple of different ways to train. So we've done identifying the predominant aggressor. We'll work alongside law enforcement, and we've presented on it in a conference on crimes against women. We had a packed room, probably 600 plus law enforcement and advocates in the room going through that. We use it to talk about neurobiology trauma, how it affects the brain, behavior, how a victim's going to be behaving, how the perpetrator is going to actually be behaving, and what those dynamics look like. And it's hard to see it because your daughter's in crisis in it, but we power through it because we know that hopefully it'll help officers determine who is actually the victim and who is actually the perpetrator, and keep that victim safe and get them to help. But also in the long run too, it's about keeping our law enforcement, our first responders safe as well, because domestic violence incidents are the most dangerous call for them to go on. More law enforcement officers are killed in the line of duty responding to DV calls than any other call. And so if we can identify these really bad perpetrators and identify them early on, hopefully we can get them arrested, get them put behind bars, get them convicted, and get them off the streets and save lives on both sides.
Obviously, her death was just so extremely tragic. Was watching that video the hardest part, seeing that, other than, of course, losing her and, having her found and everything?
The hardest part was knowing that there was an opportunity that day for her to be saved. There was a wonderful witness who called 911. I still haven't met him. I don't know who he is, but I want to shout out to him because there was no better witness that I've ever heard. I've listened to 911 calls before. He was a fantastic witness. He had all the details. He described it perfectly, the direction they were going, what they were driving. I mean, he was just wonderful.
He gave so much information.
He was like a hero that day trying to save this girl who he's seeing being abused. And then the officers step in and everything flips, and I don't know how that changed. But even at the end of the video, Officer Pratt admits himself that, these women end up going back and getting killed. Like, he knew exactly what was going on, but didn't treat it that way.
Yeah. Basically, it said that, we understand there's a lot more going on than, just today. I don't think she's really a danger to him. She's like 90 pounds soaking wet. But today, she's the primary aggressor. So today, And
then they still didn't arrest her.
They would, and then they used funding from the domestic violence shelter to put him up in a hotel for the evening. Chose to not arrest her per their mandatory statute when they had probable cause, and then wrote it up as a mental health crisis. So, there was a lot there to work themselves out of what they were actually supposed to do.
Yeah, and I know you had frustrations too with the police, which we've talked about, and you did it even at the beginning, didn't you? Filing a missing persons report.
Oh yeah.
With Gabby, you had to go to multiple.
It's hard.
Yeah.
You know your kid, you know your kid. You know if they're missing, something's wrong. You're their mother, and nobody wants to listen. They're an adult. They can be wherever they want.
Do whatever they want.
And it's like, I'm trying to tell you that my child is
something
missing.
is wrong.
Yeah.
That's a really hard thing, and like the trainings we do with the officers and stuff. You guys need to listen, and there is no doubt we all get cases. We get stuff where you can tell there's a disconnect between the parents, the kids, or whoever it might be, but you can tell, okay, there's something more going on, and usually those get resolved a little faster, and it's not an actual missing person. But when you have parents, like so many of us, that are like, no, this is a pattern. This is exactly what should have happened after this, and it didn't. Something's wrong. They need to listen.
I'm always interested to hear how you deal with social media, the trolls,
Yeah.
the psychics, nothing against psychics, but a lot of times, psychics come out in force and say they know stuff. How did you all deal with that, and what have you learned from that? That's probably a broad question. But
Don't read the comments.
Don't read the comments.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's exactly, and especially like while it's still going on, it's a little different. I mean, we didn't know how to navigate. Like, we were in crisis. Like, we were doing, best we could, and then found a safe place. I found you. I found Marcus Ortiz. It takes time, but yeah, you can't, even to this day. I'll read the comments.
I was just talking to Stacey Chapin about this. It's funny. This is something that's kind of therapeutic. We will respond to a comment, we'll type it all out, and then we'll delete it. We won't actually respond. Or we'll text each other. We'll text the other moms, and we'll be like, should I say something? Look at this comment. It's ridiculous. And we all just say, nope, don't respond. But you can go through that process of like responding and getting it out of your brain and then deleting it.
Have you ever responded?
I feel like once or twice I've said something.
I don't.
But typically no. But there was times in the beginning especially when she was missing, and people would say stupid things, and I'd be like, "Are you? What is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
I had one recently. I was asked to write an article for the Journal of EMS magazine for domestic violence, and so I wrote about it, and just like how I explained my reasoning on why I'm doing this training now. And the very first comment was someone who wrote like, EMS never responded to Gabby. They didn't fail her. I don't even know why we're talking about this. And if somebody doesn't tell you they're being abused, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. And I was about to write, tell me you didn't read the article without telling us you didn't read the article. And I was like, nah, don't do it. And then everybody else did it after that. Like, did you read the article? Like, because it had nothing to do with. It was just saying how we play a part in responding to these calls.
Well, and that's a good point, because most of the time our supporters will go on and answer that stuff for us. Like,
that's true. We've had so much support that there's more good than bad, to be honest. And they kind of say it for us, so we don't have to say anything.
They come to your defense, and then in a way you kind of feel better because people
we're like,
are
you got them.
Some of it though can be vicious as far not in the comments, but like TikTokers or. True crime,
Look at the harassment you got even in Dylan's case.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was crazy.
Yeah. That can be it. But I think you've based on my observations, you've handled it well, and that is a minute portion. But then you end up doing a Netflix show, you end up doing a Paramount Plus show. You do expose the case to a worldwide audience. Was that easy to make the decision of we're going to do this, and you kind of give up some freedom in a way. What was that process like when you decided to tell your story with Paramount, and then you guys decided to do the Netflix? I
think the biggest one that we did the Paramount, but The Sword and the Scale just came out, and they did that one was a lot more. I mean, when we did Paramount, Dylan wasn't even found yet. There weren't even charges filed. So that was the first complete one afterwards. But it's difficult to let in these producers and go through these details. And it doesn't matter how great of a job they do. As parents, we're like, no, that one little detail you got wrong, right?
You left this out.
Are you, and just the little tiny things, like not even the bulk of the case, but you're just like, how could you not remember this? How could you not remember what I told you? You were recording me, but because to us, we don't ever forget that stuff. It never leaves. We know.
But it's hard. I've learned they can't put everything.
Yeah,
they're very limited. Obviously, with us, we had 3 40-minute episodes. I mean, trying to cram all that into it was a lot, and I gave them all her footage that she was, she had from her drone and everything. And I actually, when I watched the doc for the first time, I never actually saw the footage of him rolling his eyes, when they kind of use that as to show like a kind of a piece of him that we had never seen before. And I was like, oh my God, I had never seen that before. And so I had handed them over all this stuff, and they kind of took control of it. And that is scary. And but I think they did an okay job, and it did its job. We have teenagers watching the documentary. Parents are having conversations with their kids. Like, that's all we wanted, was to get awareness out there. And
make it like a learning tool. And obviously there were some things we were hoping like they would do a little bit more on, like the Moab stop, like really bring in like an expert or something like that and break down those dynamics, because the average person walking the street, you know, they don't understand a lot of that.
But experts are not entertaining.
But they're not, you know, so it's not.
Yeah.
So, but so then
don't
what it
sell.
does though,
Yeah.
it does open up further conversation to say like, you know, hey, like this is why we're doing what we're doing, and you know, this is how we're looking at it. So
We're still mad at Lifetime though. I don't like that they made a movie. It was horrible.
Right. In fact, I just got a news release this morning about the Idaho 4.
Oh yeah, because they're doing.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
interviewed with Brian Ensign about it.
Yeah.
Because I was really upset about that. I said they've gone too far. How can you make a movie out of that?
Yeah.
How is that entertainment?
Yeah,
gross.
it is sad what they
Yeah.
turn into
The
entertainment.
made for TV movies. Yeah, I think that there's a petition to try
There
to
is,
stop
yes.
it. And you know, sometimes that brings more light to it, and it gives it more, and then you
It
know
feeds
people are
the
going to
fire.
watch. So it's
Yeah.
this
That's why we
balance of-
never responded at the time,
Yeah.
because we knew that it would bring more attention to it.
Yeah.
So we just kind of like just stayed back.
Right.
Yeah.
We have some questions from our viewers. When we announced the other day that you guys were coming to do your event at CEI tonight, some people sent us some questions. The first one is, how do you help someone in a domestic violence situation who does not want to be helped? We kind of talked about that earlier, but is there anything that you want to add?
Again, just being a consistent support in their life without being brash or, you know, just talking bad about the other person. Just being there for them as much as you can. It's hard until they know and they figure out that they're ready to leave. You can't force them. So
they might not even know that or think they're in that type of a relationship, because everybody's, you know, it's called domestic violence or intimate partner violence, so everybody thinks of it as being physical, but it usually doesn't start out physical, and it's all of these non-physical forms of abuse, these patterns, this coercive control. It's about power and control, gaining and maintaining power and control over another individual through these means, and that's how it starts. And so they slowly just start breaking down every fabric of their being. Whether they're isolating them from the friends and the family, the people who can pick up on these things. And now if you start speaking out against it, that's going to further drive that divide in between and say, like, see that they're so critical of you and us, and they don't understand what we have together. So it's a very fine line of understanding that and just being that supportive person and listening and those open-ended questions. And it's frustrating and it's hard. We'll tell you that there's people that run major domestic violence organizations in this country that have family members in domestic abuse situations, and they can't get them to leave, and they're experts in the industry. So it is very hard. It's frustrating, but just be patient and be supportive.
Do you ever have men that come out and say, I'm being abused by my female spouse? Or
We've had, a few, and so it knows no boundaries, domestic violence. So it doesn't matter your age, your gender, socioeconomical status, religious beliefs, walk of life. Doesn't matter where you come from. It affects everybody every single day. And when you talk about certain crimes around the world, there are certain crimes that are very specific here in the United States. So like, unfortunately, mass shootings, school shootings, you don't see that in the rest of the world. But what you do see as a worldwide issue is domestic violence. It is prevalent everywhere. The one thing that we do see, though, as far as domestic violence homicide, is women are more likely to be killed by a male that they know than someone that they don't know, versus a male who's in a domestic violence situation is less likely to be murdered by that person. Mm-hmm. They still do, but those numbers are far smaller. Men are more likely to be killed by men they don't know. And so it happens. Those dynamics are a little bit differently, and a lot of times they're less likely to come forward and report it, because who's going to believe me as a man that, you know, I'm allowing this woman to do this to me? So I think some of those numbers are a little bit underreported, but when it comes to domestic violence homicide, women are murdered at higher numbers than men.
I admire you all for the grace and courage you've displayed over the past few years since Gabby and Dylan were killed. What would you say is the main thing you have learned?
So much, but safe organizations. I mean, if we were going to give advice and what we really learned, I mean, go to safe places, come to people like us, if you're in that, and we'll get you to the right places and get you the right help.
Oh my God, we've learned so much. I think the bottom line is for us, because our case was so out there in
yeah.
public. I want people to realize that we are real people and it can happen to anyone. These things that happen to our kids can happen to anyone. Don't think that you're immune to tragedy, and just be kind to one another because life is short. I mean, tomorrow may not come, so Gabby taught us that, like that she just lived life to the fullest till her last breath. So that's really important lesson. I think people say it a lot, but they don't actually do it. And I've gotten a little less fearless. I got into a helicopter, and I would have never done that.
And did you like it?
I loved it.
And you didn't throw up?
No,
she
it was
good.
amazing.
She was good.
It was amazing. But yeah, just kind of being like, you know what? Just live life. And there's so many lessons to be learned.
Yeah. I would say definitely being on this side now is having a lot more empathy. You talked about the comments and stuff online. We live in a society where we Monday morning quarterback everything. Well, if I was there, I would have done it like this. And no, you wouldn't have. You would have no idea how you would behave in that if you've never been in that situation. And so just understanding that everybody goes through things a little bit differently. They experience, 4 parents all went through the same thing, and you get all 4 parents from Gabby up here, and we all experience the same thing, but you might hear 4 slightly different versions because of the way we view things. But I think just being more empathetic for a lot of people out there and knowing that some people are going through things that you don't understand, and just to be supportive is huge.
Good lessons from each of you. Candice, I saw you at the grocery store a few months ago. I wanted to say something, but was nervous and didn't want to appear like an idiot. What do you suggest to people about what to say to you?
I've had people come up to me and say everything you can imagine. I'm sure it's hard to approach somebody. I wouldn't be. I still
It's
wouldn't.
not hard for everyone.
Yeah. There's still. But I mean, I just have people come up. Hey, I followed Dylan's case. Sorry, what happened? So glad for what you're doing in the law enforcement training or with the canines. Just say what you want to say. Like I'm not going to bite somebody for the most part. But that's difficult because everybody approaches people differently, right? Yeah. So I know how I would do it, but. Yeah. I don't know how you tell somebody else how they'd be comfortable, but I don't ever judge people who come up to me. I don't ever shy them away. I don't ever get mad.
Do you appreciate it when people come up and talk to you? I guess it depends on what they're saying.
It depends. Yeah. And sometimes it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Like, what do I have going on that day? Or what, am I just trying to buzz in and out of somewhere real quick? Yeah. Usually you can tell because I got my headphones in then, right? But it's, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's funny because somebody will come up to us and they'll have no problem being like, so what about those parents? What are they doing about them? Or, you think Brian's really dead? People will come up and say that, but then you have the supportive people that are like, just thank you for what you're doing. It's amazing. Yeah. I don't mind it at all. I really don't. And I laugh at the silly questions, but I don't ever get angry. But again, if I'm in a rush, I kind of do like one of these and just keep walking.
I've been asked actually by people, so did they ever find Dylan? Whatever happened? And I think, if you see me and recognize me,
you should know.
You should know.
Yeah.
Some people don't follow up.
But some people,
right. But I mean, it's been, year and a half. That one's always bizarre. Did they find him? And then I'm like,
I'll take the time to, make it like a quick, educational moment. Yeah. To talk to them about, different things, depending on how they ask questions or whatever, and I'll take it as like a 3 to 4 minute little training. Yeah. And I figure the more people you get in front of, and maybe in that 3 or 4 minutes, you might say something that'll spark something in their head to, maybe I'll go volunteer to do a search and rescue thing, or, I want to get into, advocacy work or something like that. So I use it as like an opportunity to educate and push prevention.
I saw you all were very generous with your time at CrimeCon, with people coming up to you and talking and asking for photos and stuff like that. In a way, I don't want to say you're a celebrity in some situations, but well known. And I know you probably don't like the word celebrity. Or people want to be with you, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and for me, getting into this, knowing this whole true crime world, I didn't know it existed. I never followed this kind of stuff. Yeah. I didn't realize how into it people can get, and I think we've learned to engage some of those people in ways to help our foundations and get the involvement and get, you know, and
There are
get
good
help.
people.
There are.
Yeah.
There are very good people.
Yeah.
There are some people that are just into the sensationalism and the entertainment, but for the most part, I think people just want to know how they can keep themselves safe, how they can help. You know, so some people are watching it. I just read something about why women watch true crime, and it's really about safety. Like, women are feeling unsafe all the time, so they watch it to learn how they can be safe.
Yeah.
That kind of goes along with our next question. How have your views on the media changed after turning into public figures with these well-known cases?
I don't think, I mean, I never really had a problem with the media. We did, you know, once you and I got started in Marcos, everything, I mean, you know, besides like the YouTube, all that stuff
Right.
can just go away. But I mean, as far as like, that is the one thing, is always stick with the legit actual media. You know, you, like I said, you got all the YouTubers and the armchair detectives, and, you know, they
Yeah.
go out and they do their, you know, nightly shows to get their super chats or whatever, you know, stay away from those people. But I think as far as Dylan's case, they represented his case, and they put it out there with as much information as they had in a respectable way. I don't feel like we had any problems that way.
Yeah, I think we were pretty respected too. I think the only one that was bad was the tabloid.
Yeah, there was the
Yeah.
one that
They caught us getting Gabby's remains in Wyoming.
They when we went back to bring her, they
What's their name?
They had photos?
I would rather not say their name,
Yeah,
but apparently somehow they found out that we were going out there to bring home her remains. They documented us right from the time we landed in the airport. We actually were leaving the airport. We pulled over because there was it a moose or something? There was something on the side of the road. They actually stopped, took photos of that.
And you guys had no idea this was happening?
We had no idea, and then they were taking pictures of us outside the hotel.
Oh, my.
And there was, other than us, there was only one person who knew the exact date and time that we were getting her remains, and that was the funeral director, who was acting very suspicious that day. And the exact moment that Joe and Nikki were walking out, this media
They grabbed
organization
photos
was
of us.
across the street and put it all over and put it out on the AP.
And I mean, in Jackson, and nobody knew like when we were going, when we were getting them.
I mean, there's only one funeral home there,
And
so
you
I mean, it
can't-
wasn't hard,
yeah.
but
Wow.
I'll tell you, it was, but, I mean, that was probably the worst, but otherwise, I have very much a newfound respect for you and so many other folks that when you get to know you on personally off the cameras and out of the newspaper and stuff, and you see just how personal they are and how much you all care about the families and these stories and doing it justice, and the openness about, hey, you know, we're gonna have to ask you some questions, you know, answer what you can, don't answer it if you don't want to, and just giving that respect was, yeah.
Yeah, you guys are wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. How do you get, we talked about this too a little bit, but you can add anything you want. How do you get law enforcement to believe you and work with you?
It depends on the agencies, right? I mean, I work with some pretty amazing agencies now. Elko County, Lane County, up in Oregon. I mean, those guys, they're perfect. But I wouldn't say it's most of them is not agency wide. This is an individual base. So when we look at a law enforcement agent, they got the uniform. We forget that they're human. We forget that they're a person and they have their own free will. So if they choose that they don't want to believe this person just because they're law enforcement, we think that's not an option for them. So you go on to the next officer. You don't stop until somebody listens to you, just like you guys had to do. You will eventually find one. Hopefully it's the first shot, but
Right.
that's not always
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah, it's hard. You don't want to be aggressive, but we
Or
have.
sometimes you do.
You have to in some cases. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes they just don't listen, and you don't understand when your loved one is missing, or you know something has happened. Why they don't listen? Like it's like, why don't you want to be a police officer because you want to help people? Like, and then that's where families are like disconnected, so they don't understand.
We were very lucky, and that was the one, you know, living at the time 2,000 miles away from Jackson, Wyoming, never being out this far, not knowing what we were going to come across. And I know when I came out here, I had no idea what I was going to come across, but I came Teton County, sheriffs, Jackson PD, Chief Chief Weber from Jackson, Sheriff Matt Carr, they were phenomenal. And I always said that, like, I felt like I had to earn their trust a little bit
Yeah.
in order for them to share certain things with me. And I think once they realized, how committed we were to finding our daughter and supporting them without overstepping, that went a long way with them. And we had a very good relationship with them. There was another agency down in Florida, not so much, but it's all kind of situational based on where you are, and you just do the best you can. And I say just be persistent for your family member, your loved one, whatever you're searching for or trying to help.
And reach out to, there's advocates out there. I mean, we partnered with Light the Way, and we have 31 missing families with missing loved ones. And we just try to, be a liaison between law enforcement and families sometimes, because families don't know how to communicate and law enforcement doesn't know how to communicate. So you kind of just bridge that gap and help them keep it an open line of communication, and just to find out what's going on with the investigation. And it's hard, but there are people out there that want to help. So, yeah.
Jim and Nichole are not used to our dry Idaho.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm
winters.
like choking over here.
Don't apologize. They're used to a humid climate where
Yeah.
they're covered in moisture all the time. It is a dry morning.
They've been struggling.
Yes, and probably the elevation as well, being higher.
A little bit of a bloody nose this morning.
Oh, right. My son gets them every day, and we've lived here for 10 years. I have one more question for you, but I do want to thank our sponsor, newspapers.com. They help make Courtroom Insider possible, and they are doing some great holiday sales right now. So if you're looking for a good gift for mom or dad, brothers or sisters, and you're big into true crime, these sort of cases, or also family history work, or just you're curious about life, head over to newspapers.com. We thank them for sponsoring us. And tomorrow we're going to have more with Candice.
Yes.
Tomorrow night on Courtroom Insider. Can you give us kind of a preview of what we're talking
Yeah,
about?
so we will have Jeff Ross, who's retired special agent. He was the one who actually came in and took control of Dylan's case, and so now he's retired, so he gets to talk with us. And then Matt Anderson, who's the deputy director of the lab down in Utah, who actually physically pulled the phone or the video off of the phone, got the phone restored. Those two men solved Dylan's case. But now we're to a point where we can converse and talk about it, and they're at the data training right now, helping with the officers, assisting. So yeah, that'll be good to finally get to sit down with Jeff.
Right, go kind of behind the scenes of how the case came together, because often officials can't talk about it till it's over, and so now we have the chance. I can't thank you all enough for being here. I really looked forward to this, especially because we've interviewed outside of Idaho, but here we are. Before we go, I'd love for you to share something about Dylan and something about Gabby that you could just kind of leave us with before we go.
Dylan would be mad this year. The only thing Dylan ever did for fun was snow machine in the winter.
We have no snow in Idaho.
We have no snow yet. There's not even did you see the Tetons? There's like no snow.
Yeah.
That was his winter thing. Was everybody asks, all he did was work. What did he do for fun? That's what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think of him when we get that first snow.
I know, right? Like, geez.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. One cute little thing that I don't know if everybody knows, but I had bought Gabby a tattoo gun right before she left for the trip. I told her not to tattoo anyone until she got licensed properly, but that she could practice. And before she left, she gave her brother a tattoo, and he's the only person that has a tattoo by her.
Oh, well, what is it? What's the tattoo?
It's a little camping scene, believe it or not. It's like a little tent with like a river and a mountain.
on his leg.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Because the kit comes with like that fake skin, but it doesn't really.
Yeah, she was like, I need a real person.
My brother was like, yeah, just do it right here. Mom and Dad will never see.
She was a natural. Yeah.
And it came out really good.
Well, that's great. I mean, every time he can look at it, he thinks of her.
Yeah.
Jim, what about you?
Oh. There's so many things about Gabby. We do everything for her every single day. There's not a day that goes by that we don't think about her. But I just admire her for what she was doing at such a young age, traveling and going around. The things she was doing when she was young and able to do it. Those are the things that most people aspire to do one day, hopefully, when they retire, if they're healthy enough to do it. And so just seeing that fearlessness in her, and it was really inspiring, just to see that. And it's definitely changed. She's changed me and how I look at life and stuff. So we miss her. We miss her greatly every day.
Thank you for sharing their stories of your children with all of us. It feels like, I've never met them personally. I feel like I know them in a small part, and hopefully your message to the world will help others. I know that's your goal, and
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for being here today, and thank you all for watching. I'm Nate Eaton. Have a good night.